The record, and there's the encoder, and you are live.
Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode of Trash Pandas. We took a little hiatus, and so we'll just call this season 3 of Trash Pandas. So we're gonna jump right into it because we have a lot to cover tonight. We have like about 5 episodes of 90 Day Fiance to catch up on. I know we took quite a bit, but we're back, we're ready to go, and we're so excited to have you guys back with us. So please like and share and comment, talk with us. We would love to hear your feedback. We know that you guys are watching these shows too. And let's jump right into it. So Lindsay, what have you been watching?
So, I have been watching so much television lately because I was kind of down and out for a while. So, I like totally hesitantly watched Bridgerton on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard so many good things and I really want to.
Okay, so I'm a huge fan of like period pieces to begin with. I am not a huge fan of Shonda Rhimes stuff. And I know like I'm gonna get flack for that, but like I just am not. It's very like soap opera-y to me, and I just don't like that. However, I thought Bridgerton was really good. I feel like I don't know how I feel about the main actress.
Okay.
I still don't know how I feel about her after it's been done. She's just so young looking. I don't know. You have to watch it and tell me what you think.
Okay,
about
so is
her.
that like an issue with like the character she plays? Is
Kind
that she
of,
looks so
yeah.
young looking? Okay.
Yeah, kind of, yes. I mean, she's supposed to be like a woman or a girl coming into womanhood.
Okay.
And don't watch this show with like your parents, or like if you are a parent, don't watch it with like your teenagers. There's a lot of sex in this show. Like a lot. So
right, like when you try and watch True Blood with your mom and you're just like, please don't.
Yeah, like, so warning, don't do that. But it was interesting. It kept my attention. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't know. Like maybe if there's another season, it will really sell me on it. And then I watched Night Stalker, the documentary on Netflix about serial killer Richard Ramirez, who terrorized Los Angeles in the late 70s, early 80s. I think Richard Ramirez is so terrifying. He's always been one of like what I think is one of the scariest serial killers, because he really didn't discern who his victims were. It was just like whoever crossed his path, or like whoever presented an opportunity. So I thought that was really good. I thought it was done really well. I love the story of how he's captured. We actually are going to cover this next Friday. So if you're interested in joining that conversation with us, go watch Night Stalker this week on Netflix. I recommend it. What about you?
Okay,
Anything?
so yes, I have been watching a lot of stuff. There's a new season of RuPaul's Drag Race, and if you know anything about me, you know that I loves me some drag queens. And so it started off a little bit iffy for me, like they're doing some new stuff, and I understand that, because after, what is it, season 13 now? After 13 seasons, you got to like spice it up a little bit. I was like a little bit iffy about some of the queens on there, but it has turned out to be a pretty good season so far. I'm really excited to see some of the queens like make it through and see what they have to offer. Their looks were on point. And after 13 seasons, I feel like some of the girls could probably use a little like pick me up on the stuff that they're doing. So, but that's just my opinion. I also watched a new movie called oh crap, I just had it in my head. Promising Young Women.
Oh, I wanted to see
or Young
that.
Woman. Yeah, it was actually really good.
Really?
Yes. And I watched it with my boyfriend, and he was kind of like at first. And at the end of it, we were both like, that was a really good movie. So
Ooh, I want to check that out.
yeah, I'm not going to give anything away because kind of like everything has a purpose in the movie, so I don't want to give too much away, but it's basically this girl, and her like best friend was like raped, and so she is trying to take revenge on some of the people that raped her. And I'm not going to do much more than that, but it's actually very, very interesting, very cool to watch the entire thing, and I really liked it. We both really liked it. Other than that, I've kind of just been like watching some of my old favorites. I know that Lindsay started watching Broad City and finished it in like a day.
I've watched it 3 times through now.
And that's like one of my favorites, and we didn't have a chance to talk about it. So she is definitely like on board, and it took a while to get her to watch it, but once she did, like the first episode, she was like cracking up.
I think the second episode when Abby's at the dentist's office.
Yes.
I couldn't breathe. Like
yeah,
I could
it was
not,
literally like
I was like screaming laughing. Like screaming laughing.
So if you have not watched Broad City, please watch it. And if you have, watch it again, because it's totally a rewatchable, funny every time. You see something new every time. Watch that.
I went to visit my grandparents up at their place over like my winter break, and I played Broad City for them. It's like totally not a grandma and grandpa show, but my grandparents really thought it was hilarious. Probably don't watch it with your grandparents.
It's a great show. It's so funny.
So funny.
These girls are so clever. It sucks that it's actually done because they decided to be done with it. But
yeah, it's
so worth it. It's like one of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, I haven't really been watching anything too crazy. I've been really busy. I know that like bars and stuff are about to be opening back up, so we've been prepping for that at the bar that I'm working at and everything. So it's just been pretty intense, but I've been really happy to like have some time off to like catch up on some shows that I haven't watched in a long time, or new shows and new seasons of things that are coming out, which I was really concerned about, in the very beginning of COVID, whether or not they were going to be releasing new seasons of things, and they are. So I'm all about that. That being said, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get right into it?
Nope.
Okay, well then let's go.
All right. Do we want to talk about Natalie and Mike first?
Sure.
Or should we save them? Because they are probably the most interesting couple at this point.
Okay.
Let's go to our newest. We have not had a chance to talk about her yet because she wasn't introduced until like the 3rd episode.
Oh yeah, okay.
Stephanie, 52, from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm like, please don't rep Michigan if you're this woman.
I know. Like
I do not want to see more of you.
I know, and like the accent, the way Lauren does a perfect impression of her.
My problem is that she has like that weird like thing that like when women get older, we know that like your voice changes as you grow up and stuff, and that's totally fine. But she has like this like cadence or something when she's talking, and it's like an old woman thing where they're just like, this is crazy.
No, she's like, God
like,
damn it.
God damn it.
No, she's like
she almost sounds like Stifler's mom, or like the same actress.
God damn
it. She sounds like the Stifler's mom, or the same actress when she's doing Legally Blonde, and she's just like, I'm taking the dog. And that's exactly how this woman sounds.
So when we meet her, she's hula hooping in her living room, and she has on like these
goggles,
these glasses that like reset your circadian rhythm. So like, cause she's gonna break a Guinness World Record for hula hooping.
Yeah, which is like
not
100 hours or some shit. Like,
so she has this cat, this haggard old cat. I feel so bad for this. This cat is like literally on its 10th life, probably.
Seriously.
It is.
Its 12th life.
It's like back from the dead.
Yeah. It's like totally Pet Cemetery. Like this cat comes back and you like look at it, and it's like,
But the way she can't meow. Right? It's like fur is all like weird.
I feel bad like laughing at this cat because I'm like, of all the things to laugh at, this cat is like not the one.
The cats are just funny, and like you can like this cat is just like
it looks like it's ready to go.
Yeah,
and it's holding on.
second.
It's holding on for
Any
that
second.
last key lime yogurt.
Yeah, she feeds it key lime yogurt. And she like talks to him.
She's like, key lime is your favorite. You love that, don't you?
So I wrote, she's like, for anyone who watches The Office, she's like Angela's sister from The Office, but like kind of like her hippie sister from The Office. So she is actually surprisingly a very successful business owner. She owns Skin Envy. It's like a medical spa. It's basically like Botox.
Yeah, it's weight loss. She specializes in weight loss and like and beauty, like Botox, lip injections, that kind of stuff.
So she said that she like poured herself into her businesses, and that's why she never got married or had children. And
she also had like a rough upbringing.
Yeah, her dad was bipolar, and so I guess that was like emotionally draining for a child, which I'm sure that's true.
Well, I remember her saying something that was like, it's really hard to like wake up every day and you wonder like, is he gonna be like love me today, or is he going to be like hate me and not want to be around me?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, I didn't grow up that way, but I'm sure that that's extremely difficult. So I understand that, and I don't have anything really to say about that other than
she also
I'm
just
sure
said
that
like that's
difficult.
maybe one of the reasons she said that was a reason she chose not to have children.
Mm-hmm.
So she is engaged to Ryan, who's 27, from Ladyville, Belize. She met him while she was vacationing in Belize, and like the first she says like he caught my eye on the beach, his hair blowing in the wind.
It's
and
literally an afro.
I'm just like, that's not really like blowing in the wind.
Well, I expected like they were about to show the picture, and I expected like this Fabio looking, like just like his hair just like blowing in the breeze. And then it's like they show him and it's like his hair is like maybe like this long, and like it moves as a single unit. You know?
Like it does. He doesn't have like long hair to be blowing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So it was just really interesting that she was like,
that
his hair was blowing.
Right. And she was like, that's the thing that caught her eye. I'm like, that
of all the things. Like, it's not like he's an unattractive guy.
Like not his smile. He's got a nice smile. He's got a nice body.
Yeah, like the fact that he lives in a fucking beautiful paradise. Right. Like none of that. Just his single unit hair.
So
shifting in the wind. Okay. Oh my God.
So so she met him while she was vacationing. The first time they didn't like start dating, and then she began to go visit him, and then that's when they like started a relationship. The first time we see her, she is like, she can't get a hold of him and like is trying to call him incessantly and is wondering where he is. And when she can't get a hold of him, she calls his mom.
Who she's older than.
Yes.
She's older than his mother.
Yeah. So I wrote that, calls his mom Dorla, that she's older than, to get tabs on her man. So then eventually we found out that like they have major trust issues. Like he's talked to other women while they've been together. And then come to find out, one time when she was in Belize visiting him, they got into like a huge blowout fight. She thought the relationship was over with. And then his cousin Harris called her, went to her hotel, and they slept together. And
that was the highlight of 90 Day Fiance for me.
Ryan doesn't know.
That is like the most, first of all, they told us that so
soon.
Close. Yeah, close that I'm like, that can't be the only thing.
Yeah.
Because we know that.
Yeah.
After 2 episodes of her being on. We know that. And usually they wait until the very, very last moment to tell people their big secret. And I know that she hasn't told him that, but they revealed it to us, which normally they don't reveal it to us until the same time that they reveal it to them. So
Sometimes,
just
sometimes
like,
they do the
I feel like
build up.
normally it's like, well, I mean, because yeah, with like Rebecca and everything, but it's just like this was like such a big bombshell that I was like, I'm surprised that she's like mentioning it so early on. Also, that she doesn't really mention it again.
Yeah, she keeps it a secret. What I just like, once he finds out, he's gonna be done, don't you think?
I would assume. I mean,
Unless he's just really truly using her for the money.
and that could be a thing too. And speaking of money,
Yeah, speaking of money, so so she has a friend who has a resort in Belize, and she got this friend to hire Ryan at the resort under the stipulation
sure, yeah.
that she is going to be paying his wages because he couldn't afford to hire Ryan. So he's working at this resort for her friend and she's paying Ryan's wages. He doesn't know that. That
Yeah.
is so bizarre.
That is super bizarre. It's like first of all, do you think he can't get a job on his own?
I don't know.
That you would just be like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and have somebody hire him.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, it's weird to me that she would even do that because she mentions that she has paid anywhere from like $800 to like $1,400 a month and to help him, especially during COVID. But then because of COVID, now she's helping the entire family.
Yeah.
So I want to know, because she didn't really say whether or not the money that she's been like paying in was the same as the money that she pays for his wages, or if it's two separate numbers. Separate.
Yeah. I think
I think so too, because that wouldn't make sense
Right.
that it wouldn't be. But I was like, that's crazy to me that, she's spending all this money and is not telling him like, hey, I'm the one paying your wages, or hey, I'm the one that basically forced my friend to hire you.
Right.
And at some point too, and I just like thought about this like a couple of days ago. I was like, at some point, the dude that she has, or a friend, girl, whatever, that she has that owns the resort, if she said, okay, I'm gonna stop paying the wages, would they hire him anyway because he's such a good worker or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious to see if that's like something that they're just like, we're gonna keep on doing this as long as you're willing to pay for him, or if they're like, oh, he's actually such a good worker that we would have hired him anyway.
The unfortunate thing is that because of COVID, tourism is like
way down.
Nothing. So it's like they probably couldn't afford to keep him. You know what I mean?
But if they had to like get rid of somebody who was a shittier worker than him, and then keep him, would they? That's like one thing that I just thought about. So I'm curious about that.
All right, we have let's do Rebecca and Ziad. Okay, so basically nothing much happens. Like, he arrives in America, she gets an apartment for the two of them. The apartment is in the building where she used to live with her ex-husband, and now she thinks like this is drama or something. Like, I'm like, who gives a shit?
Right.
I don't know. Of like all the things you could be anxious and worried about, like, why do you care about this?
She's so desperate to tell him too, which is like really bizarre to me. Like, why are you like, that's your big, maybe because like in order to be on 90 Day Fiance, you have to have some crazy thing that you have not told them. And like, TLC, come on, this is the thing that you were like, okay, you're on. Right. Because you didn't tell him that you live in the same building that you lived in with your ex-husband.
Yeah. It's a really lame
What a weird,
storyline.
yeah, it's just so weird. And like they drug it out so much. Like the first
They
3
still
episodes.
are dragging it out.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
she
absolutely.
still hasn't told
The first
him
3
that.
episodes is just him like packing to come to America and then
Yeah.
finally like coming here. And then it's just like how like it was just like climactic. It didn't really have any kind of like real value to the show. I almost wish that they would have brought, what's her name, Stephanie? I almost wish that they would have brought Stephanie on sooner and gotten rid of the Rebecca storyline, you know, and had that go in 3 days later, because like this shit is fucking stupid.
It is really stupid. So they pick up, or her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend go to pick up Ziad at the airport. They go out to eat, even though poor Ziad is like so tired from like, this is what like the 90-day people like, what don't you understand that like when people travel around the world, it makes them tired. Like probably all they want to do when they get to their destination is take a shower and go to freaking bed. Like, do not plan things.
Maybe fuck.
I mean,
but like go to bed. Right. Shower,
like,
bed.
You don't need to go out to eat. Like, pick up McDonald's on the way home, let the person shower, let them go to bed, and then start your life together. But they go out to eat, and
which he seems reluctant to do anyway.
Yeah, and the boyfriend and the daughter like grill him because they apparently think that since he is Arabic, that he's going to do the same thing to her that her ex did.
And I think that you and I were talking about that a little bit earlier today, where it was like Americans just kind of assume that everyone wants to come to America and that there's no other places in the world that are like something that people would want to go to or move to, you know, which is bizarre to me too. It's like just, seriously, like get over yourself.
It's that American exceptionalism. Like, yeah, it's like get over yourselves. Like he has a whole family, he has a whole nice life where he
has friends, from. He has family, right? Like, you know, like there's people that he cares about.
Up, right? He's not using her for a green card. So anyways, they get back to the apartment and she thinks that Ziad is not acting like his normal self. She is so incredibly insecure. It's really annoying. It drains my energy just watching it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I'm just wrote probably because he's fucking tired. Like, get over
jet lag is a real thing, and when you're traveling 16 to 24 hours at a time, like that is not fun. Nobody is like, I can't wait to do that, you know. And when you get here, you're kind of just like, I just want to eat something as fast as possible, go to bed, and like it's like a constant in 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah, and think about like how overwhelming it is for them to like be in a new country. Like they probably have like sensory overload. Like, I just need to turn off my brain. I need to go to sleep. Like, just let them go to sleep.
I almost like understand at the same time from like an American's, you know, perspective, where like you're just so excited to have someone here that you want to show them all these things and you want to do all these things. You want to be part of all these things and be like, oh, you know, like look at all the shit that we have.
Let them sleep first.
But yeah, let them like take a fucking nap. I just want to take a damn nap.
I would be grouchy AF.
Listen, I'm not even traveling ever, and I want to take a nap.
I need a nap. Yeah,
twice.
Yeah,
I want to take a nap 2 times.
Yeah. All right. Yara and Jovi. Oh, this is the part. So they go furniture shopping.
Oh my God. The furniture salesperson is literally the equivalent to the interpreter in 90 Day Fiancé the other way.
Yeah.
Because he was the shit. And then this girl literally calls out Jovi for being a douche the entire time. And she is not even trying to hide it. She's at first, because of it, I thought that maybe she knew him.
Yeah,
and was like friends with him.
It almost seemed,
and I was
that
like,
way.
oh, okay, you know, like she's like calling him out because they're buddies, and then you find out very quickly that they're not.
So Yara starts seeing like a bunch of stuff she likes besides like what they went there for, And Jovi starts just acting immediately like a little brat. And the saleswoman is like, you need a Snickers or something? It's just so
Hungry,
funny.
why wait?
Yeah. So then they go to like one of the confessionals with like Yara and Jovi, and Yara says that Jovi has swamp taste. So that's why she wants to replace all of his stuff.
I love Yara.
Yeah,
so
I
much.
like Yara a lot. So Jovi says, so Jovi's still being a little brat in the furniture store, and Jovi says to Yara, learn your English. And the saleswoman berates him for saying that. She's like, there is no excuse for saying that. None. Like, she is not taking
Agreed.
any of Jovi's
Thanks, furniture
shit.
lady.
Right.
We love you.
Right. So Jovi proceeds to act like a huge baby, saying, I don't like this rug. I'm not putting it in my apartment. And then the sales lady says he needs to go to apologize to Yara. So she's acting
Well,
like
Yara is
mediator.
obviously upset for a
Yeah.
reason, because
Yeah.
like saying something like, oh, it's my apartment.
Right.
She's like reacting the same way that anybody else would, where it's like, this is our apartment. And
right.
anytime that you say it's mine, or it's,
Right.
you know, you're like giving that like possession to just one person.
It's a
especially
power
with-
move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so fucked that he
Yeah.
does that, because I just want, I want to hug her and be like, go home.
Yeah.
Like you, or find anyone else here. You
Right.
know, this guy is not the guy.
Yeah, he's not very nice. So eventually Jovi concedes and Yara gets the rug that she wants. So Jovi works in a field where he's like gone for 4 weeks at a time, and then he's home for 4 weeks at a time. So he's getting ready to leave for 4 weeks, and they go out to like have a nice dinner before he leaves, and they are talking about like starting a family. And basically she says like, I'm not okay with starting a family right now because you're gone, and I don't have my mom here, I don't have my friends here, and then you're gonna leave me. Like, I don't think we're ready for that right now. So Yara then reveals that she lost a baby when they were in Europe, and when she had to undergo an operation, he left her to go to work.
In another country.
Yeah.
And she
not in her country.
Not in her
They were in
country.
Albania.
A different country from either of them being able to like actually do anything.
And she had lost her passport, and then so she couldn't get home, and then she ended up miscarrying like in that time frame in Albania, and he just left. And she says basically like, how can I trust you after this? And I totally agree. I don't know why.
Well, the thing that pissed me off is that when she says, you left, how do I trust you? You left me in another country when I lost a baby and I have to have an operation, you know? And he says, well, it's not my fault you lost your passport.
Like, that is not the issue.
Come the fuck on, dude. This woman literally just lost your child.
Right.
The two of you just lost a child, and you leave to go back to work. Like, I'm sorry, but if you say, hey, boss, I just lost my baby.
Right.
And I'm out of the country right now because we have to have a surgery in order to like deal with that, because my, you know, soon to be wife, my fiance, is literally from another country, and we had to go to this country in order to have this surgery because she lost our child.
Right.
Why would you leave her there? I would not feel safe with him anymore.
No.
And I felt so bad for her. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and be honest. At first, when I first met Yara, I was like, this bitch is crazy too, you know, but I automatically assumed, and I totally take responsibility for that, for just thinking that she was like a blonde bimbo and that she is
bratty.
She's bratty.
For sure.
She's bratty.
Yeah.
But the more we see of her, the more I'm like, this girl is like legit, and she is trying to be, you know, she doesn't have her parents. She doesn't have her friends. She doesn't have anybody here with her. And she's about to be left alone for a month inside of a new country in a new home with no friends, no family. And this guy, we turns out that he left her in a very like what's the best word for this? Uh um sensitive and trying time for her, and it should have been sensitive and trying for him too, but it wasn't. But she was going through something and was going through all of the feelings that come with that. And he just dipped out on her.
Yeah, that sucks.
So I just think he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And she's awesome and I love her. And Yara, we love you and you should come on our show. So there's that.
So after Jovi leaves, Yara goes to get her nails done with one of Jovi's friends. And the friend comes on and just like tells Yara all of Jovi's dirty little secrets. Yeah, stirring the pot.
Stirring it.
So
immediately.
Basically tells Yara like, oh, like Jovi was like a regular at a strip club, knew all the strippers. And then tells a story about how like a girl that he was like dating came back to his house and peed in his bed because she was like so wasted,
too drunk, and
just
peed herself, which I've never done that in all the years of my blackout time traveling. I have never pissed my bed or anyone else's, to be completely honest. So it's like,
God,
how does that happen? First of all,
don't know. I mean, she must have been like
very
totally incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so like Yara's kind of like shocked and disgusted by this. But later on she ends up talking to Jovi and Jovi's like, that's all in the past. Like, that's not who I am anymore. Blah, 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 blah. So seems like that's fine, whatever. She then goes to lunch with his mom and aunt. They question her. They find out that she was once previously engaged, and this like shocks them. And I'm like, who cares? Like, everybody has a past, and like, if she told,
shit happens,
right? Like, why are you crying so much? Like,
well, they also really want her to have like a reception, like a wedding reception, or something along those lines. And Yara has made it very clear that she wants her family there if she's going to be like having a big party. So she wants to have her wedding at like Vegas. Basically, she just wants to like get married, be done with it, and then have a big wedding later on when she can have her family come, which I also don't think that that's fucked up. I think that that's totally a normal thing to do.
But they keep saying it's like, it's Cajun tradition to do something for a wedding. And I'm like, bitch,
what
it's American
mean?
tradition.
Like, that's like American. That's not a Cajun
it's not
tradition.
Like a Cajun
that's like
exclusive
literally
tradition.
American thing.
Right.
They also make mention of her ring and how like she says, the mom goes, oh, notice that she's wearing her engagement ring on her right hand. And not on her left hand. And Yara says that the reason why she has her ring on her right hand is because when you move it to your left hand, that means that you were widowed. Right? So
in the Ukraine, if you wear your wedding ring on your left hand, that means that your husband or wife has passed
on. So it makes sense that she would do that, but they did like, linger on that too long. And I was like, guys, just like let this woman understand that you're having two separate cultures come together and that there's going to be a way for that to happen, I just feel so bad for her.
And then we see like she has like a conversation with one of her friends on FaceTime, and like she's complaining that she's like really tired and has no energy and she's been sleeping all the time. And the friend's like, are you pregnant? And Yara's like, I better not be. So we'll see. I'm sure we're gonna see the pregnancy test and all that. The next couple, Amira and Andrew, we can go through really quick. Basically what happens is Andrew had come up with this scheme since the borders are closed to get Amira into America. So what he did was he had Amira fly to Mexico he flew to Mexico. They were going to quarantine together for 14 days, and then they were going to pass through the border into America. But what ends up happening is Amira gets to Mexico and is immediately detained. And during this time, she has like her phone taken away from her. She can't communicate with anybody. Like, I think she had like maybe one phone call to her dad or something so that they knew that she was detained.
Somebody knows where she's at.
So she's detained for 3 days, and during this time, Andrew is just like a big useless piece of shit. So he's like in the resort, and he's just like, oh, I'm so helpless. Like, I have nothing. I can't help her. I can't do anything. Like, bitch, you're in a resort. So, like those people at the front desk, they speak English. They can help you. I'm positive of it. And like, why aren't you contacting like the American US embassy?
Yeah,
or
that
like,
doesn't make any sense.
Or like the French embassy. Like, you can call people, you can talk to people. Like,
he keeps on trying to call like the airport.
Yeah, and I'm like, don't call the airport.
I'm like, these people don't know who the fuck you are,
right?
Or you from anybody else. So like, why are you calling them constantly?
But
and trying
he's
to make
just
it seem like that?
He's just like such a victim, and he's such a loser. I just can't. I don't like him at all. And
at first I did. And then
he was okay.
Well,
but
like the first episode, I was like, okay, like this guy seems like a legit, like nice guy.
Yeah.
But then he became literally the nice guy where it's like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna be that guy now.
Yeah. Like, woe is me. Yeah, I don't know. He's a loser. So what ends up happening is so they send Amira back. They send her to Denmark, I believe. You might want to check me on that. I don't know. But
I don't know.
They send her back to Europe, not France. She's not home because she's staying in a hotel.
She's staying in a hotel, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they send her like back to Denmark, and then from there she'll go back to France. I don't know what's happening, but she's out, and she's like traumatized by her stay, which rightfully so. Like, she had no access to her phone. She was explaining like there were toilets but no toilet paper. I couldn't shower. Obviously she doesn't speak Spanish. So she's like traumatized about this, and it's his fault. It's Andrew's fault. She did not want to do this. Her dad didn't want her to do this. So, yeah, it's loser Andrew's fault.
I'm like curious too why she was detained as well. They don't really touch down on that, and I would like to see like the actual.
Honestly, it's probably because of the pandemic, and he thought,
which is understandable, but like they just didn't really say, like they didn't say, oh, like during this time she was detained because of the pandemic. It was like she was detained.
Yeah.
Boom, that's it. And we're all sitting there going like, we have no idea why.
Yeah.
Like, did you have an explosive on your shit?
Yeah.
Like, were you like, you know what I mean? Like, what were you doing that you were detained?
I assume it's pandemic related.
I'm sure it is. But it's like, why even have flights go there from France if you're just going to detain everyone? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What's the point of that? So I feel like there's got to be something that like maybe they like found in her shit that was like not necessarily anything of interest, but they just were like, hey, we have to hold on to you. I have no idea, but I just feel like if they were going to detain everyone, then why would they even allow the flights to come through?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Because there could have been like maybe people that had like special access or something, like
sure,
a doctor,
no, totally.
like I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing is like I would just like to know, like what was the reasoning for detaining her to begin with?
All right, Hazel and Tariq. So on her first day, he takes her to breakfast, and then he takes her to the non-church church that he goes to. So it's like a meditation center that's open to all like ideologies and non-believers to go and like meditate and feel spiritual or something. And
feel spiritual or something.
They take a tour. They take a tour and see a bench that the founder, Edgar Casey, would lay on, and he would sleep on it and tune into people at a distance.
The weirdest thing I've ever heard. And listen, I used to go and protest like Scientology. Sorry, Scientologists. But I used to go and protest Scientology, and I would go and like learn about different things that people were doing and like whatever. But this was so weird. He takes her to that place, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a bench that he used to rest on. And I'm like, why the hell are we looking at this bench that somebody used to nap on? You know what I mean? Like, somebody used to feed the birds in this park. Like, here, come look at this bench.
So he says that like Edgar Casey is like the most documented psychic of all time. Like whatever the hell that
Never
means.
heard of him.
Right. Tariq is impressed by the giant crystal in the corner. So like they have a huge crystal rock.
Where's the John Edwards bench?
In the corner.
You know what I mean?
No, like
where's the Teresa
where's
fucking
Miss Cleo?
Yeah, where's Miss Cleo? Where's the Teresa Caputo bench? I want to know where the fuck she's.
I love Teresa Caputo.
Same, but like, where's her bench? Because she's pretty documented. I've never heard of this guy, but John Edwards I've heard of, and Teresa Caputo I've heard of her. So
after viewing it, Hazel's not sold. Remember, Hazel comes from a very religious family. They're like Pentecostal Christians. Her church is very intense. If you can remember, like
speaking in tongues,
crying, fainting, all of that.
Yeah,
very uncomfortable. So Hazel's not sold on this place because she does want to get married in a church.
Although there is a really big crystal that he really wants to be married to.
So Hazel finally meets Tariq's daughter Ari, who is 7 years old, and she is autistic. And their meeting was so cute. Like, it was very cute. They had an immediate connection. Like Ari let Hazel pick her up and hug her, and
as soon as she saw her, she said Hazel.
Yeah, she knew who she was.
Yeah, she was like completely aware of like their relationship. I felt like that was a very sweet moment.
It was very, very cute. They had a very cute connection. And then like Hazel just like feels sad because it just reminds her of like her like 7-year-old son that she had to leave in the Philippines. So they we can skip over this part. So, and then the last thing here really is that Tariq.
Girl, this is less than an hour.
I know. Tariq tells, no, we have more couples.
Okay.
This is just the last part for Tariq and Hazel. Tariq tells Hazel that he texts their ex, Minty. And Hazel's like not pleased about it. But he does come clean and tell her that he did text their ex,
Minty. Well, okay, let's also go a little bit into that relationship. So at one point, Hazel and Tariq end up like breaking up because he assumed, we had talked about this on our last episode, but he assumed that she had an abortion. And he wasn't anti-abortion. It was just that she didn't like talk to him about it before happening. But it ended up that wasn't the case. So he started talking to Minty or Mindy, or it's spelt Minty, but he does say like Mindy or like Minnie. He calls her multiple different names. So they end up like having this like weird, like, not weird because it wasn't weird really. Like the idea of it is just that they have like a little like throuple thing happening because Hazel is bi. But within like a couple of days, she realizes that Tariq and Minty are having, like they're talking in Thai to each other, and they just seem very into each other, and she doesn't feel comfortable with it. So she like breaks off the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So him contacting her is like a breach of their relationship contract. You know what I mean? Like it's not okay for him to just kind of like maintain this relationship with her, even though they were all together at one point. Hazel's not part of that, and it does seem like he's kind of like going behind her back. In my eyes, it seems like he's kind of going behind her back. He's just asking like, how is everything with COVID and how many cases are over there, and just making sure that she's okay. But at the same time, to me, I'm like, if that's all it was, then why wouldn't you just say to Hazel, like, hey, I like reached out to
Right.
Minty and asked her like, is she okay, and how are things going?
Yeah.
And if you have to hide something like that, then it feels like you're hiding it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, not just, oh, I think you'd be upset, because it's like we could reach out to her together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just feels weird to me that he did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he could have just been doing it to be like nice or whatever, but considering that it seemed like they had a very strong connection
Yeah.
without Hazel,
Yeah.
then it would be weird to me as Hazel to be like, oh, like, yeah, you're just having this conversation without talking to me about it.
Yeah. He just shouldn't have.
He shouldn't have done it.
You just don't.
Should not have done it.
Yeah. Okay, Brandon and Julia. So
I've got a lot to say about that.
yeah, Julia arrives to the farm. At first, it seems to be like a happy little family. Little does she know that she's about to become real life Cinderella. She's given a bunch of chores on the farm. Like she has to
It's a farm.
She has to like feed the chickens.
It's a farm.
And she has to feed the pigs.
There's a million things to do on a farm.
She has to pick up shit. Like she has to do all of this stuff. And like the first day that she's there, they like bitch about her being late to like feed the animals. I'm like, she's like, what, your servant? Like you're
jet lagged,
right? Not her job.
Not my job, right?
Having
to like take on the responsibility of all of the farm duties while you guys are just out doing whatever the fuck you're doing, whether you have jobs or not. Like you're used to going out and doing that shit yourself,
right?
So why are you forcing this woman to do it?
It's so
and she is. Weird. They're like, it's almost like you have nothing else to do, so now you're gonna take on all the responsibility, and it's not fair. It's not okay. I am not for that. I'm not trying to say that she shouldn't have any responsibility inside of the house that she's living in, but to give her literally all of it isn't okay either.
I mean, like, who knows really like how much work is to be done, but I just feel like
it seemed like a lot.
You don't dump that on her. Like that's not her responsibility. Like that, no. Like I could totally see like, okay, you're staying here for free, you and the son, so you guys have like shit you're gonna need to help us out with.
Sure.
But like it shouldn't be like every day you're up at 6 o'clock feeding chickens. Like give me a break.
That's
like above and beyond.
First of all, even if that was the case, it's not something that you put on somebody immediately following them coming back.
Right.
Because like I said, she has to like deal with like her circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
Whatever, the fucking goggles. Yeah. She has to deal with like getting accustomed to waking up at this time, being awake and like going out and doing stuff. She's not used to working on a farm. She's not used to like not being in a city, like this is hard.
Her
work.
reactions to like the pigs.
Oh
in
my
the
God.
pig pen.
Nick.
I'm like, she's like screaming
This
that the pig is gonna eat
poor
her. It's
Girl,
so-
this poor girl. She was just thrown into something that she's never done before. And they should have like at least not just done it with her one time. They should have done it with her for a week. Get her used to like
Or,
waking up at that
like,
time.
how about you say like, hey,
Are you willing to do
are you willing to do this?
Nope.
Or how can you pitch in?
Right. Is there something you can do
Can
to
you
help
vacuum the house, do the dishes, and cook us dinner? Like
right.
once in a while.
Or every fucking night, I don't care.
Right. But like,
the point
ask
is that
her.
you're literally
Yeah.
just going like, okay, now you're like our farmhand forever.
Yeah.
And it seems like they all just leave to go to their other jobs. And then it's like,
no, it's
how
weird.
how were they doing it before she got there?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Oh, excuse me. So, after her first day, she like tells Brandon, like, I want to go home already. And I said, don't blame me, girl. But Brandon's hoping like things will turn around and that she'll like fall in love with working on the farm.
Right.
They go out to dinner with Pop Joe, which is Brandon's grandpa.
Pop Joe.
He's so cute. He's so cute. He's like dressed all dapper, like in a suit. I love him. He says he has some concerns about Julia maybe using Brandon because he has like that antiquated perspective that like Russian women are coming here to like use American men. And I'm like, okay, like I'm sure she'd rather be in Russia than working on the farm.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't?
I mean, I'd rather work on the farm.
I'd rather be in Russia.
Our friggin' podcast is gonna be like flagged. All right. So
shut the fuck up. That's hilarious.
Brandon's mom at dinner points out that like Julia has hickeys on her neck. And it's totally unnecessary. And she like berates them like they're teenagers. And it's like,
in all honesty, when they showed it, I was like, I didn't even notice that.
I know.
I did not
and
even
like
notice
to
that.
bring it up at dinner, like just ignore it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, just fucking ignore it.
Bring it up at home.
They are like 27 years old.
Bring it up at home.
But even so, it's not your business.
Yeah, it's none of your business. Exactly. I absolutely agree with you. But if you are going to bring it up, then maybe don't bring it up at dinner with fucking Pop Joe.
But then Pop Joe was like, Pop Joe was like, if I had a young woman like that, I'd do the same thing.
I'd be doing it too. Exactly. And then he's like, stop embarrassing your son.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have to though.
They were like,
it's
no,
bullshit.
He needs to grow up. I'm like, what? Because he gave his girlfriend a hickey. That means
he's
27
years old.
Like,
he's 27.
Oh
and I was like, so what if he's 27? At 27 years old, if you had somebody come from like across the world to come and be with you, and she's only been here for a week, maybe 2, I would be doing everything I could to have alone time with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or him.
So, they share at dinner that they picked May 9th for a wedding day, and Betty loses her shit because it's Mother's Day weekend.
I literally hate this bitch.
And she's like, it's just not a good weekend. And Ron is like, yeah, you don't want to share your day with their day. Like, and they're like, Mother's Day is a big deal in America. And I'm like, okay, like it's really not. You go to brunch and like get your mom flowers.
Maybe a lot of people don't even do that.
Right. Like,
so,
and like,
chill.
Right. Like, and like Mother's Day is not on the
Literally
same day every year. So like, did you already look it up to know that Mother's Day was on May 9th? And they have a good reason for wanting it on May 9th. That was like the day that they started talking. And he said to her, the first thing he said to her was, you look like my future wife. And I was like, okay, that's cute. That's why they want May 9th. Yeah.
I actually really liked that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's a really great reason to have it at that same time. So if you're so upset about it, whatever the fuck her name is, if you're so upset about it, Betty, then why was your son commenting on some shit on this girl's thing on Mother's Day weekend then? How about that? How about you just tell me that?
Mother's Day changes like every year.
Exactly. Exactly. If you're so concerned about it, then why was it happening? Oh, because it's not the same every year,
Oh.
then maybe you shouldn't be worried about it because this year it is. You know what I mean? Like, no, fuck you, dude. I hate his parents.
Yeah,
I
don't
hate
like
them.
it.
I literally hate them. And I don't normally say that.
So Brandon basically tells his parents that he doesn't care. He's like, I don't care. Like, this is what Julia wants.
The one and only time
Yeah.
that he ever
like
stands up to them.
Yeah. So then, oh my God. So then there's the hot tub debacle. So Betty and Ron leave like for an overnight to go somewhere, and Julia and Brandon go in the hot tub, and we can assume that they probably had sex in the hot tub. So when they get out of the hot tub, they like didn't put the cover back on right, which it was like totally on. It was like covering. It was like the little flap was just like turned underneath. And then so when Betty gets home, when Betty gets home, she's like, we need to have a talk. Follow me. And like they go out to the hot tub, and she's like, well, you see like the cover, you left the cover like this. And then like she's like, Anne, did you go in this hot tub with clothes on? Because the water is a little cloudy. And then she's like, we use this hot tub for therapy, not for entertainment. She's just like
so extra.
Anything to
all the time.
Treat them like they're 12 years old. That's what she's gonna do.
It seems like the two of them, because even the dad is very like, condescending, rude. Yeah, exactly. He's just awful.
Yeah, they're both awful.
And it's like, okay, so, and then she actually brings up a good point where she goes, so we can't sleep in the same room, but we have to go in the hot tub naked together.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Why the fuck are you letting them do that, but you won't let them sleep in the same room together? They're engaged. They're 27 years old.
Yeah.
They're trying to like get ready for their marriage.
Yeah.
And they know that they're going to have to stay with his parents for an exceptionally long period of time because he needs to save up enough money.
And then basically like his parents are bitching that like Brandon is like slacking in his duties around the farm because of Julia. And like the thing is like Julia makes this point is like you can't spend time with me in the morning, then you go to work, and then you come home, and then you do more chores on the farm. So when do I get to spend time with you?
Yeah.
Because like these 90 days are like dedicated to like basically decide if this is gonna
whether or not it's gonna work.
Right. And
should we do this?
They have no alone time, and now he has to dedicate all of his time to helping his parents on the farm. I'm like, it's just like incredibly selfish of his parents to just put that on them during this time. Like, let them figure their shit out right now. And like, just they're awful. Like, they're truly awful.
Exist as a couple.
Right. Like, let them
1 second
spend time together. Like, it doesn't have to, like, this is your farm. And it doesn't seem like Brandon, because he said, like, Ron said to Brandon, like, this is all going to be yours one day. And I'm like, it doesn't seem like he wants it. Like,
I feel like there was even a point in time in like the asides that they do where it was like him saying like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that they want us to do, but in reality we want to like go on to do something else.
And
which
like,
is fine.
what is his parents gonna do when they like move out on their own? Like, then what? Are you gonna hire help? Like, what is your plan?
No, I think that they like plan on just letting them like take over, and they just like kind of pull aside, and that's not cool either, because like you're not even asking your son. Clearly they haven't asked, or they have asked their son, and he's so much of a fucking pussy that he can't actually say what he wants. He can't tell his parents, I don't want to be living at the farm.
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is like Julia and Brandon are going to move out one day. What are they going to do when they move out?
Yeah.
That's like, what are they going to hire help? Like, or do they expect Brandon and Julia to leave their home every day at the ass crack of dawn and come do chores on this farm?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Because I feel like that's what they do want, is that he's going to just like
So-
leave and do that. And that's not okay either.
No, that's
like
freaking bizarre.
what is wrong with these people?
I don't know. A lot is wrong with them. They are
like literally everything
the
is wrong
worst.
with them.
And you know what else makes them like exceptionally awful is that they're awful, but they try to like disguise it as like they're nice. And it's like passive aggressive and it's weird and it's like wolves in sheep clothes. Like they're just deceiving and they're like not nice people. Anyways, don't like them, not fans of them if you couldn't tell.
Like
So the final freaking couple is Natalie, who if you thought Brandon's parents were bad, she is the absolute worst.
Hate her.
And Mike. So Natalie and Mike, her first day at Mike's, she washes the eggs before they make them, which is like not an American thing to do. So I thought that was very interesting. He decides to make her French toast for breakfast. She takes one bite and doesn't want the French toast. It's not healthy. She doesn't like it. So she goes and she starts peeling a freaking carrot for breakfast. I hate her. Who doesn't like French toast? And like, I'm sorry, splurge, bitch. Like, oh my God, I can't stand her. She complains about literally everything. Like anything there is to complain about, she complains about. Like, it's too cold, I'm in the woods, there's nothing to do here, I'm cold. Like,
how are you so cold though? I'm like legitimately curious how she's so cold, because I feel like Ukraine is
okay. So Ukraine is like on the same parallel as where they are in Seattle. I know, in like, so yeah, freaking Ukraine is cold. So I don't understand what her problem is. She's just like bitching about everything. So Mike takes Natalie to another nice getaway. She bitches about him eating meat while she orders scallops. She wants him to be a vegetarian and then like berates him when his meat is like delivered to the table, which is like a delicious steak. And she's like, oh,
it's a tomahawk.
She's like,
it looks amazing.
Her poor, or it's like a poor animal had to like die for this. And I'm like, okay, but you're eating scallops.
Listen, if you want to say that you're pescatarian, which means that you eat fish and seafood, fine. But she does not identify as being a pescatarian.
No.
She says she's vegetarian.
Yeah.
If you're vegetarian, then clearly you don't eat any kind of meat.
Right.
And that is technically meat. That's
Scallop
an animal. That's something that happens.
Yeah.
So it's so irritating every time that she talks about anything ever. I fucking hate her. I hate her.
Yeah.
I do.
She's the worst.
Sorry, but I do.
So she's like, yeah, she's condescending and awful. She berates him for eating meat. So they go to this waterfall in Washington. It looks really pretty. Natalie's behavior is weird at the waterfall. Like they're looking down at the waterfall and she says to Mike, like, me up, like a toddler. So he picks her up and puts her on her shoulders so she could take a picture. It's really bizarre behavior. I don't like it. It's really freaking weird. Don't act like a baby when you're not a baby. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, just don't. It's fucking weird.
It's just funny, though.
It's so weird. So then they go out to dinner again, and she brings up picking a wedding date, and Mike really isn't into it. And this is like ticking her off. You can tell, like, this is really making her mad. She berates him again for ordering something with meat. And then at the end of their meal, he orders a root beer float for her to try because she's never had a root beer float. And then she thinks that it's alcohol because the word beer is in root beer.
Is in it. Exactly.
And she's like, Michael, if this isn't alcohol, I'm like, okay, like he's like tricking you into drinking beer. Why would he do that? Like, it's
First of
just
all,
so stupid.
yeah, that's crazy that
So
anyone would
stupid.
even think that like people can like trick you into that, or that like a bartender would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like tell you it's not alcoholic when really it is.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's weird. So then we see Natalie like in her day-to-day life, she can't like operate a washer and dryer because of bleach. And then she complains that
because
like
of bleach.
none of her friends would ever be out in the woods like this because she can't operate the washer and dryer. I don't know her.
Right.
Dude, she's awful. So she complains about everything. She hates her life in the woods. She's like looking for the ring that she threw at Mike when he left Ukraine last time because she wants it back, but she can't find it. Side note, she put a huge glass cross in a picture of the Virgin Mary,
yeah.
on top of their refrigerator. So that was cute.
That was the thing that they did.
So like the final thing that happens is Mike comes home and they're making dinner in the kitchen and he's making like a stir fry and she's like, no, that's not healthy. Like, I don't want it fried. And he's like, okay, well, I'll just do it in like water instead of.
He's like, it's not fried.
Right.
It's just called
It's
stir fry.
right.
Just like the root beer float.
Right.
It's not beer.
Yeah, right. So because she like has been making comments about his weight, which is like super shitty. And he's just like, after she like berates him so many times, he like sits down and you can just tell like he's like defeated. Like he wanted a beer after work. She berates him for wanting a beer, berates him for wanting to eat a stir fry. Like she's just like the epitome of awful. So then she brings up the ring and then she's like, I couldn't find it anywhere. And he's like, well, I had to sell it to like pay the bills. But he says it like jokingly.
Yeah, she says, if I couldn't find it. And then he said, well, you won't be able to find it. And she said, well, then you sold it.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I had to pay the bills somehow.
Yeah.
And it's clear that he actually did not sell. I don't think that
it's a joke.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Right. But she took it very personally.
And this like pisses her off and turns her into like
the worst,
bigger devil than she already is
already.
And she starts like saying weird things like, what's your IQ?
Mine's pretty high.
Mine's 110. And he's like, I don't know, I've never taken an IQ test. And she's like, you didn't take an IQ test in school? And I'm like, okay, IQ tests are like old. Like we don't use IQ tests to like measure someone's intelligence. Like it's not a very good indication of intelligence. Like she just sounds like an asshole. Like
she's trying to say he's stupid.
Right. She's trying to say he's stupid and that she's very smart, even though one time it's like whatever. It's like a little bit above average, maybe. Like
yeah, I was about to say, is 110 even that high?
No, it's not that high. It's like average. Whatever. She's an asshole. And she just looks like an asshole. And then she's like, do you ever go to museums? And he's like, well, I've been to the Louvre. And she's like, because I took you there. So she's like, then now she's trying to act like she's more cultured than him and like more of an intellectual than him. And it's like really bizarre to watch this all unfold. And then he like, what does he say? He says something and she's like, oh, I'm scared of you, you drunk, low class. Oh, she calls him low class.
She calls him low class. She goes low class. And then they continue on with that. And she ends up kind of like insinuating it multiple times. She says low class multiple times.
Yeah, that he's low class. And he challenges her and is like, who are you? Like, you think you're on a pedestal or something? Like, who are you? Like, what makes you like better than anyone else? And he's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and then after he like kind of like argues with her, she says she's like scared of a low class drunk man. And
he tries to like come near her and she's like, don't touch me, I'm scared of you.
Yeah.
Like, you're scared of him?
Because he's drunk, because he had one beer.
Right.
Like she's just the worst. Like, God, Brandon's parents and her, like, they would all probably get along, actually. She would probably like living on the farm.
They're probably best friends.
Probably
already.
best friends.
Already
Yeah.
best friends.
Yeah, already best friends, for sure. The 3 worst people of all time.
Yeah.
That kind of like brings things to an end. Like, we don't have any more. And
Okay, I am going to backtrack for like 2 seconds because it reminded me of something. And that was during Stephanie. She had her friend come over to her house who is a fucking tarot reader. And the tarot reader is sitting there talking about, I can't remember what card it was, but
it was the Chariot.
Yeah, it was the Chariot. And she goes, oh, it's obviously, you know, this versus this. Or so she says that he has another woman around.
She says the only way to read this card is that he has like another woman in his life.
I looked it up.
And that's not true.
I looked it up, and everyone is sitting there saying she made that shit up, because that is not what the Chariot means.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really interesting, that it was like TLC, you know, was like, oh yeah, like tell us about his other woman, and like use this card to say that.
Yeah.
And all these tarot readers from everywhere. And I thought for sure that there would be like a difference in like the readers.
Yeah.
Literally all of them are like,
not
what that means. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's what that is. So I just had to like side note into that, because I thought that was like pretty interesting too, that like, you know, sometimes you can catch like TLC trying to do something. Sometimes you can catch like people that are on the show trying to do something. And this was a very obvious moment where she was trying to say to her friend, without saying to her friend, that I think that
there's
you're
another
not,
woman.
Yeah, I think you're not ready for this.
Yeah.
I just want to bring that up because it's actually kind of like a big moment with him, where he says that he doesn't really like tarot readers and he doesn't really like psychics. And she is clearly looking at her friend all pissed off.
Yeah.
And, you know, like literally one eye down.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I feel like we kind of touched on everything. We got pretty quick.
We did.
Dude. It was like like an hour. So an hour for 5 episodes. In reality, we take 2 hours to do 1 episode. So you should like give us a like and a share for that. That alone.
Yes. And if you would like to join us next week, we're covering Night Stalker.
Yes.
So please go watch it and comment and talk with us about it. Yes, it's on Netflix. It's only, I believe, like 3 episodes. So it's not super long. You can definitely binge it this week.
4.
If you want to watch
4
something,
episodes.
well, 4 episodes. If you want to watch something with us, that's what we're watching next. We would love to have you guys come on, comment, like, share, give us some opinions. Yeah, we would love to have that. And Documentary Dave is going to be joining us because we love him so much. So there's that.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next
Thanks
Friday.
so much. Okay, bye.